You're listening to iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to radio. iLiveUK.
TalksHonest. 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 Hello and welcome. You are tuned into iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to radio. I'm your host, Miss Law, and this is a platform and an opportunity for you to discuss topics never spoken but often thought of. You can connect with us by contacting us on 0208 638 8503 or all the W's uk.iliveradio.com. Now, it's quite a deep subject for a number of reasons. When we think about colorism, we're all people of colour. We're all one. We're all on the same journey. So why does the shade of our skin as a people that are one matter? Now we can sit here and really think about this, because we do need to really think about this. If we're creating divide amongst ourselves, how can we go forward? How can we do things differently? So the question for me is, why? Why do we feel the need to create a divide within our own ethnic group? It's a deep one. Some people will have answers, some people may not. Some people may feel it's a subject they don't feel comfortable talking about. But we all experience different things within our race. Some of us are socially accepted, some are not. But within our racial group, I don't feel that we are all equal. Now I'm putting this out to you. So think about it. And just give me your thoughts.
Okay. So, I feel now that we're in 2020, I feel this type of divide shouldn't be happening, especially with what's going on with us as a race.
Yeah.
Like, other races look at us like we're at the bottom.
Inferior.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like we, in my opinion, we create things.
Yeah.
Right? We have that knowledge to just put certain things out there and it just multiplies, kind of thing. But we should be more working together. Don't get me wrong, I've had my times of being ignorant when I'm younger because I didn't know any better. But I feel as an adult now and growing up, I've got that knowledge now to pass down to someone younger than me to be like, you shouldn't be disrespecting your fellow brother or sister.
Yeah.
You should be unified, because the day that we are unified is going to be a problem for others.
Yeah.
And the fact that some people don't know how great they are, which is kind of sad really, and especially like for some young people, some of them just know one thing.
Yeah, they're not
open
to certain
That's
information.
right, but it's like when you have a conversation with them, the amount of ideas and stuff that they come up with, and I'm like, wow, if you just had the right people around you to
nourish
make that idea come reality.
Yeah.
And how amazing you'll be, because it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you live in the rich area of Chelsea or the deprived areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to get that out of our head and knowing that whatever we want to do, we can do that.
Yeah. I think it's
So, just touching on what you said, children today in society, when going into schools, are really impacted by this, we'll say the different shades of melanin.
Right.
So, for example, I know a young girl who's a dark shade of melanin, and one day her mum came upon her in the bathroom and she was scrubbing her skin.
Oh, wow.
Now, she was scrubbing it so much because she was like, she felt she was ugly.
Yeah.
Now, what she didn't realise is that she was a beauty.
Yeah.
But she just, because her skin was so dark and her siblings were lighter shades of melanin, she felt like she didn't belong.
Oh, wow.
And with encouragement, you know, like obviously her parent said to her, no, you're beautiful inside and out. It doesn't matter whether you're dark, lighter, if you want to say it like that, or, you know, like it really doesn't matter. You could be white, but if you look through your actual family tree, you'll find that a relative of yours actually came from, say, an Indian tribe or African tribe, you know. So I feel like it's important for us as parents, adults, just role models, just to kind of get it out there that it doesn't matter what colour shade you are.
Yeah,
you are beautiful.
That's right.
Inside and outside.
right.
You are worth something regardless of what shade of colour you are.
For me, it's a very touchy subject. And I say that because to the outside world, and when I say the outside world, I mean those people who are not of colour, those people who are not from the same racial background as us. Mm-hmm. They are racist toward us as a people. But then when you have a problem with your own, that's really deep.
I think it's worse.
It is.
Yeah. It's definitely worse. And it's easy for others to then infiltrate, say that camp, say us as a camp.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to be infiltrated and somebody come in and just plant a seed for it to kind of explode, like come and say, oh yeah, actually those people,
they're not united, are they?
They're too dark, like you shouldn't really be hanging around with so-and-so, you know. And that because the fact that we're not united and that it is easy to create division between different shades. Like I was saying, it's easy for someone just to come in and just say one sentence or one word that will divide us as a group, and it shouldn't be like that, to be honest. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. But see, when I actually think about the whole colorism, the divide within our people, the shade of your skin does not quantify your blackness.
No, that's right.
And I think this needs to be taken out of people's mindset. I get that people have grown up with this thing in their mindset because of, history. But at what point are we going to say, no, I love my sister no matter what shade she is. I love my brother, whatever shade he is. Because when I think about us as a people, we're quick to judge our own. But when it comes to another or ethnic minority or another race, we're very acceptant of them. We're happy to, include them in everything we do. I think that's something that we as a people do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But however, knowing that people have done what they have done to us, and I'm not feeling sorry for myself when I'm talking like this, it's just people have to understand we have got to this point that we are at because of a system to keep us controlled, keep us where they want us to be. And I feel that we've just conformed to that. And as a result of that, we've more or less dropped our guards to say, okay, this is what it is, and we're not in a position to do anything. But I completely disagree.
Yeah.
We have the power to make the difference. We have the power to unite. We have the power to make change.
That's right.
But why do none of us, and when I say why don't none of us, why is it a lot of people aren't happy to become united?
I feel for some, they just feel comfortable, or they've just accepted this is where I should be and I shouldn't be above or anything like that.
And maybe they don't know, like you're saying, they don't know any difference.
Mm-hmm.
They've been so I can't even think of the
Conditioned.
word. Conditioned. That's
Yeah.
exactly the word. They've been so conditioned by society, whether it's education, the news, etc.
Don't
That
see any other way.
Even they're not trying to change their mindset. Like you said, it could be ignorance that's still that people cannot actually move forward and kind of want to change their mindset.
For me, I think they've just accepted what it is and feel that they're not in a position, or they don't have what it takes to make change. So therefore, they're quite happy to just go along with what is being put on them.
I think it's a thing of they've accepted it, but they're lazy. As in, they're not willing to do the research, because I feel like, in the 70s and 80s, there was some information out there, but you had to go whether to a certain bookshop or library to get your information.
Yeah.
We now have this wonderful World Wide Web where you can Google search everything and anything.
There's really no excuse,
it's just
right?
for you to take that time out to educate yourself.
Yeah.
Like, don't just assume, yes, everything just started with slavery.
Indeed,
no,
that's right.
You need to go back before that
Yeah.
and do your research.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have a read now and again, just to keep it in your mind or brain all the time that we come from great people.
Yeah.
And we need to acknowledge that and to have that always in our hearts and minds, that we are great people. We can do what we want because we come from creatives.
Yeah.
We come from people who invented things.
Yeah.
We come from, sorry to cut you, but we come from princesses and
Kings and
queens.
This is it.
Princes and princesses, like, just because they've got a royal family doesn't mean that we never had a royal family.
Exactly.
If you go to Africa, there's kings and queens.
Yeah.
That's right.
And princesses and princes. So it doesn't mean that it only happens in one race or one colour.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want something or you want to be something, your colour shouldn't actually stop you from going to do that. You shouldn't think,
Or the shade of your skin.
or it basically shouldn't affect you trying to achieve your best at any point.
In my experience as a black woman, I just felt, and I still feel today, when people see or when people talk to me, they don't accept me as a black woman.
Why is that?
I say that because statements that are made towards me, such as you're not black, you must be mixed. So within your own ethnic minority, when people say things like that to you, it's like they're ostracizing you. They're pushing you out of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Why they do that could be their insecurities. But there are many people out there who've probably heard those two statements. You're not black. You must be mixed.
Okay. So I'm going to give an example of that. My sister, obviously, her children are all black. However, my nephew is very, very fair. Now, his dad's not white. However, someone came to my sister's door to deliver a package, and they were like, "Oh, is his dad white?" My sister's like, "No." Like, why would you just assume his dad's white because of the shades that he is? But if you look back in my family, if you go through generations, you will see that there are different shades. There are different levels of shade. And sometimes they might call it a throwback. It's a word that is commonly used when somebody within your family is not the same shade as everybody else. They say, "Oh yeah, it's just a throwback," whatever.
Yeah, which is quite a negative connotation for somebody who is of lighter melanin.
Well, this is it. Family's family. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So this is my point with regards to quantifying blackness. Just because you are of a lighter shade does not mean that you're less black.
Yeah.
A prime example is my daughter. My daughter is very fair. And growing up and going to school within the UK school system, she was often told, "You're not black. You can't be black." You know, now, when your child comes to you and says, "I don't like going to school because the people are racist, or the people are getting on my nerves because they keep trying to take away my blackness from me." I'm black. My dad's black. My mum's black. That makes you feel a certain kind of way. For the simple reason, you are what you are, but people are telling you you're not what you are.
Mm.
What about the black people that don't see themselves as black?
Well, that's another topic in itself.
Yeah.
That is another talk show.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you actually brought that up.
I think with that, as you were saying, Miss B, that kind of stems from either how you was brought up.
Yeah, most definitely.
I know for me, growing up in my household, I was always told to be proud of being black, my skin colour. So no matter how light I may be, it was always instilled in me from a young age to be proud of who I am.
Yeah.
When you go into school or wherever, don't feel ashamed if someone tries to approach you and say, "Oh, well, you're not black enough. Is your mum white? Is your dad like? Where's the whiteness coming from?" And all that type of jargon. Like, I was told to just ignore that.
Yeah.
As long as you know that you are
Who
beautiful
you are.
inside and out, that's all that matters. And I think by having that talk always, it's made me be comfortable in my skin, my black skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that really troubled me in my experience was I was accepted by other races, but my darker brothers and sisters were the ones that had a problem with me, quote unquote, appearing or looking different. For me, that's quite devastating, because you grow up, you go to school with these people, and they're constantly questioning who you actually are, to the point you start to feel very inferior.
I was going to say, do you question yourself?
And in some cases, you do question yourself, because you're thinking, well, if everybody feels this way about me, am I? Am I not?
And that's where the conditioning comes in.
Exactly that.
That's where the conditioning comes
Exactly
in. Like,
that.
the more you hear something,
the more you conform to it.
The more you end up conforming to it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you've got those other outside influences that are going to give you that strength and encouragement to kind of move forward, you're going to be like, okay, well, this is how it's supposed to be, but this is not how it's supposed to be.
That's right.
You know.
So, with what you've just said, do you from what you're saying, you're talking past tense, but is it still present today in 2020?
Yeah, it's still
and
present.
With that, how do you respond, or do you more or less ignore it, or do you probably explain, like, there's no like separation, we are all one? So why do you have, to that person who's probably said that, why do you have that mindset?
I am still experiencing it today.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you deal with that then?
And how I deal with that is it depends on how it's put to me.
Right.
If it's someone that's ignorant to the fact that I can't be black because of the texture of my hair, which is usually the thing that actually makes me non-black in people's eyes. Okay? So I have different approaches to different people. Some people I would explain, some people I don't have the time of day for.
Right.
Because it's how they come at me.
Yeah, how they come across.
They're not like trying to have a conversation. They don't say it in a pleasant way. They say it in a undermining way. And then it makes you feel like, oh, okay, that wasn't necessary. So it makes you step back a little bit, to the point that, like, you don't particularly want to have a conversation with that person again, for the simple reason they're making you feel inferior.
Yeah, so just got a message from Sharon. Big up to you, Sharon. So she said, yep, 2 of my children still get that said to them, but they know how to shut it down.
Yeah. And that is the key, knowing how to shut it down. But when we think about shutting things down, it's important that we educate people. It's key.
I was just going to say, it's important that we kind of get the person, whoever's asking that question, to, when they've asked you that question and you've responded, then you should leave them with some kind of reflection, so that the next time they approach somebody with that same, or even have that same kind of thought,
they'll think before
they actually ask that question. But like, going back to how we're treated by our own race, for myself growing up, I didn't see myself as beautiful, not because I just didn't look like everybody else. And when you're growing up,
you just said you didn't feel you were beautiful. Can you break that down? Because people need to understand what you're actually saying. And I wanted you to describe your vision, how you look as a person. Because people are aware, or possibly aware, there are free black women in this forum right now. And so, we all look different.
Yeah. So I'm very dark skinned, or I say I'm very dark skinned. My hair is very thick. Some people will say, oh, I've got nappy head. I've got good hair.
That's right.
I've got lovely, thick, curly, dark hair.
Yeah.
And I've got very strong features, very full lips, and Yeah. So those kind of qualities, when I went to school, some of the other girls didn't look like that. So it made me think, oh, maybe I need to have my hair looking like that. Mm-hmm.
Why? People need to understand why you felt that.
Because sometimes you don't feel like you fit in. You just feel like you're in a place with a group of people, but you just don't fit in because of how you look, and people's behaviour towards you could make you feel that way. Yeah, people's behaviour towards you could make you feel that way.
Yeah, because I feel like the mindset where you've gone to a brand new school, starting secondary school, maybe some of your friends are not there no more and you're in a new settings. You feel as a black girl, you feel, all right, well, I'm going to be around all other black girls
so you would
or
expect
boys.
them to treat you.
Yeah, exactly. But then you don't.
Love.
But then they don't.
No.
They look at you and they examine you.
Yeah, they do.
They observe you from head to toe.
Yeah,
and they'll pinpoint
differences.
Well, yeah, she doesn't have like the kind of straightish hair. She ain't relaxed her hair.
Yeah.
All, as
it's
you
not
said,
texturized.
The nappy, as they like to say, the nappy.
Yeah.
And they just look at you. They look at your skin. Oh, it's not. It's too dark. Like, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful woman. But it's like we just need to change the mindset, especially for these young people growing up.
Yeah.
We need to change that mindset. And whether it starts at home or when they go to school, there's something that needs to be put in place, because you will get kids going back to school after summer holidays into a new setting. And I feel like teachers need to have that in place to be of some encouragement.
Definitely.
Now, what makes this okay, though? Is it okay for people to see you differently within your race? Do you think maybe it's okay for you to drop your guard because you've been made to feel different? Is that okay? Or is it not okay? You know, why is it that somebody else needs to make you feel inferior because you look or you appear a different shade to what they are? What quantifies and what gives them the right to make you feel inferior?
It's not, as a person, as an individual, it's you that gives them the right to do that. That's what I personally believe. Miss Mode can't turn around and tell me I'm ugly because I know I'm beautiful.
That's right.
I might not be beautiful to you.
That's right.
But I know to myself, when I look in the mirror, I'm thinking,
but
I
then,
woke up this morning.
That will be my insecurity.
Exactly.
That's right.
And so I was going to pinpoint when you was talking about when you go into a new school. So for the youngsters, when they start new places, even when we go into a new workplace.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. People have already judged us by our appearance because that's the first thing they see. They don't hear us speak.
Yeah.
They don't know nothing about us.
That's right.
They just make that judgment straight away. And I do believe a lot of this is coming from other people's insecurities.
Yeah. I agree 100%. 100%.
Like when people are saying to you, oh, you can't be black. Why can't you be black?
That's right. Yeah.
Why can you not be black? What gives them, like, what information have they got? What facts have they got to confirm you are not black? Like, I mean, like one of my aunties basically was saying to me that, you know, when somebody approaches you with something and you're thinking, oh my God, like, why would they say that?
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that your response is something that then, in a sense, projects the question back to them.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're not black. Oh, no, you're not black either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you go with that?
Where'd you go with that? They'll be like, what are you talking about? I am black. So why would you say that I'm not black then?
Yeah.
How do you justify that I'm not black?
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to equip our children, maybe some people
and
like
ourselves.
friends and ourselves, equipped ourselves, enable us to have those tools that when we do actually get approached or asked a question that is actually picking at what colour we are, we're able to give them a response that kind of ends that
thought process,
that kind of questionability. I don't even know if that's a word, but the question of them questioning whether or not where we come from, basically.
In life, have you ever, obviously you've expressed that you've been subjected to that colorism. Have you ever seen someone and had those same thoughts about someone else who's darker than you, lighter than you? In your all honesty?
Yeah, in all honesty, yes. I'm not going to say I haven't done it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, oh yeah, look at that red girl. like, you know, there's certain slang that people would use that you've heard or been taught or just know that is not actually very kind to the other person. It can be quite derogatory.
Very true.
It can actually put them, like, it can actually put people down.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm a sort of person that kind of reflects on things that I do. Like, I could be doing something now, I'll go home and then reflect and think, oh, no, actually, maybe I didn't actually approach that situation really well.
Yeah.
And how can I go about doing that differently next time? Like, if there's something like that, you know, and there's also that saying, treat people how you want to be treated. I don't want someone to tell me, oh, you're, you know, whatever about my colour.
Yeah.
Because because I kind of have that kind of mindset, then I'm in that place now and mature enough to say, okay, I'm not gonna, or try not to, because obviously you're still human, but try not to actually think like that.
Now, we still have this divide today amongst us as a race. Colorism is still there.
It's still popular.
Very, very there. There's no ifs or buts about that. When you think about what we do on a day-to-day basis, do you feel there are any contributing factors or things that we do that feed this?
I would say for me, not personally. I've grown up a lot and read a lot of history books, and knowing of oneself and my mindset now, I may not agree with you, or we may have a dispute, but if you're in trouble, I'm just going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, we may never be friends again or whatever, but if I see something happening, I'm going to be there. And that's where my mindset is. And I just want to encourage other people to be that way as well. Yes, we're going to have some of our own people who are going to be ignorant, but remember who you are as an individual.
That's right.
And you know you're not going to be ignorant like them. But if they're in trouble, you help them to your best of your abilities.
Yeah.
Because of who you are.
Yeah.
And the type of person you want to be. And I just say that's for me. So going forward, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I try my hardest not to have any kind of negativity because of what we're seeing right now. There needs to be a shift.
Yeah. How do you feel we can make that shift, or how do you feel that shift can come about?
It's up to the individual. It's you not being lazy and just being that ignorant person all the time, or it's about just making that change. The same way you get up and wash your skin and do your daily stuff is the same way you can change and be a better person. Stop with that same mindset of looking at your own sister, your own brother, and making these remarks about them.
Yeah.
Because you're just hurting your own.
Yeah.
We're already getting it from other races already.
Yeah.
So why are you piling it more onto us as a community? As the black community? We shouldn't be doing that.
No, you shouldn't. Can that change come about is the question.
It can.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important that we understand that change isn't going to come about unless we make change. You know, a lot of us wake up in the morning and expect to do the same thing, but expect different results.
But sometimes expectation, you shouldn't
You
have
shouldn't
too
have
much.
any.
You got your own expectations of yourself.
Yes.
And we need to learn that sometimes we can't have that high expectation for others because they're never going to meet it, because it's something that
it's your personal expectation.
It's your personal level where you think people should be at. The only thing that you could do is by how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
You just hope that these people will be influenced by the way that you carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, you're telling people, Miss Mode, read a little bit more.
Yeah.
Pick up a book.
Yeah. Have conversations.
Have conversations. You know.
I do feel that we've become very selfish. And when I say that, we're very much concerned about ourselves and no one else. So I might speak to you and have a conversation with you, but the conversation is so shallow. I don't actually know what's wrong with you, if there is something wrong with you. You know, everything is just on face value.
Yeah.
And no one really digs deep and addresses certain things. You may come and you may feel a certain way, and I identify that you look a certain way because you're not your normal self, but I'm scared to tap into what's taking you to where you're at. And I think we need to be a bit more alert, because a lot of times we're going through stuff and we're experiencing stuff, but because we don't trust and we have other underlying issues, we don't actually get to understand each other. But instead we create the divide because we're not prepared to find out that bit more or understand that little bit more.
Okay, so how do you explain you go into a Caribbean island, or where you think, oh yeah, all my people are going to be there? So I used to love going to the Caribbean. And one time I went on holiday and it was near the end and I was in a department store shopping. Now, the assistant, the customer service person was a black lady. Mm-hmm. Do you know, she served every other person of different shades lighter than myself. And she didn't come over to me and my partner. And I'm going to partner, why is she coming over to us? Is it because we're too black? And so my mindset, I went into that mode thinking, what this
defensive.
I got defensive.
Yeah.
I've been to restaurants in the Caribbean. The same. I've had the same thing there. Like, I'm thinking, what, don't they think we've got money too? Like, that's seriously how I had started to think when I was going there. But then I thought, actually, you guys don't know any better.
Okay. So that boils down to exposure.
Yeah.
That's still in that slave mentality. Yeah. Obviously, that's really weird because you've gone to an island where it should be clearer.
Yeah.
You're not in a westernized place.
No.
So you can say, okay, I expect to receive that kind of in a Western world, but when you're in a non-Western world, you expect to feel more wanted, more accepted.
Yeah, but you don't. Like, for me personally, I didn't feel more accepted, and I felt that I should have felt like I was home from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And having heard you say that, and I'm now thinking back to when I am in the Caribbean. Shades of black weren't accepted no matter what the shade was.
No.
unless you are extremely fair.
Yeah.
When I say extremely fair, of extremely light melanin, was more than likely to do with the fact that anything above a certain shade was not socially acceptable to them.
Yeah, because they have a caste system.
Indeed, yes.
The lighter, the better.
The better.
The darker is more at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Tell me something.
I've never been back to that Caribbean country after they treated me like that. I haven't been back.
Oh, really?
No, I haven't. Because I don't think it's going to change. Because the country has so much Western influences. So I feel like that's how I feel. Like,
but we need to make that change. See, we can't keep accepting that. Okay, you went to an island. You originate from an island. Okay, so you've gone to the country, which is an island, and it's become so westernized, it's lost its standards and its morals. Yeah. Now you've actually said that's okay. So you no. When I say that it's okay, you've now said that you would not go back to that country or that island for the simple reason what you experienced. Yeah. Now in order to make change, we got to stand up to those kind of things. We have to confront those things and say, hold on a second. I've just identified you served so many people of colour, and mine being the darkest, you just haven't acknowledged me. Why is that? I think people need to be aware of what they're doing because they know why they do it. Well, hold on, let me take that back. They do things and maybe not know why they do them because they're conforming to something. Yeah. So therefore, it's in our interest to bring it to their attention to say, well, hold on a second. I was standing here waiting before all these other people and you have completely excluded me, ignored me and served other people. What is that?
Okay. So you could answer that question, but how are you going to be perceived?
Yeah, but it's about awareness. It's about awareness.
I get that. But it's then how are you going to be perceived? I understand that you're going to get your point across, but then they might just see it like you're causing a problem, and then stems back to that same label again. Oh, it's another We're not making a fuss. We're making a fuss, but we're making a fuss for change. It's not.
Our voice is not heard.
Our voice is definitely not heard. That's the words.
Yeah, our voices are not being heard.
Not being heard.
So when you was in that island, was it just that place, or was it everywhere where you went, you had that same experience?
No, do you know what it was? It was a department store.
Yeah, which I kind of expected that to be the case.
Yeah, I was in town. We went to go shopping. I thought, oh, let's go and get some last little bits. Yeah. You know, the country, the food, other people that I'd interacted with, beautiful. Yeah. Like, really nice. Yeah. You know, but then I've worked in retail. I've done customer service. Yeah. I've never treated anybody different because of their different shades of melanin. Mm-hmm. Never.
But I can say that's possibly because of your exposure to the Western world. Yeah. You have a different approach. I must say, within the islands, they're very closed off. They're not worldly. But in their customer services.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Miss Law, but they also reject us because then you go there, they don't, say I go back to my home country where my parents come from. I am Jamaican, I am Antiguan because that's my heritage. Yeah. They'll tell me you're right English. Yeah. But I haven't forgotten where I come from.
But we're good at dividing ourselves. And then we ask the question, why are we not united? We're not united because we divide ourselves. We'll put ourselves into a million categories, and those categories only amount to one thing. We're black people. Yeah. All struggling, all trying to make a better way for ourselves. But these stigmas and these barriers we put up for ourselves only affect us. Yeah. They don't affect anybody else.
Because do you think that sometimes when people conform to stuff like the Western kind of world, they lose themselves.
Of course.
100%.
100%.
So then that's when you get the person that might be classed as being black on the outside, but how they perceive themselves is more westernized.
I do feel most people who have the colorism have a problem with shades of melanin don't actually react or don't actually step up until they're in a situation that someone displays their blackness or speaks about their blackness. When they're confronted in that way, that's when they realize, oh, okay. And then they kind of check themselves to say, well, hold on a second. I'm that way to somebody else who's of colour. Now, it makes them rethink what they do and how they do it. For the simple reason is they're now a victim of the same thing that they do.
Yeah, but it's only until they become a victim that they can see it from our perspective.
That's correct.
Like,
so when you said about going into the store and the lady showing colorism by serving someone that was lighter than you before before even paying any attention or making an acknowledgement that you were there. I
had to literally request the attention of this person.
Yeah.
I literally looked like a madwoman in the store because I was like, are we not here? No, like I literally started to get sarcastic.
And what did the person say?
No, they came over, but I had to do that.
So
I could have dealt with it differently. When I look at it, I could have gone and said, "Oh, excuse me, like we've been here for." But I literally made a scene in the store. Like,
well, by then you was fed up
because I was just fed up.
That's what you felt that you needed to do to get that attention, and therefore that was your point for me personally, for you to say, "I don't appreciate the way in which you dealt with me. You've ignored me. Because you're now making it known to her. I saw what you did.
Yeah,
I see you.
Yeah,
I see what you've done and why you possibly did it, but it's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's not acceptable.
But that's the thing that we don't do.
Yeah,
we let things go.
Yeah. I was going to just say, moving forward, because obviously I went to that country years ago. I deal with those situations differently now.
Right.
So I'd be like, excuse me, like,
yeah,
I need your service.
Yeah.
Like, you've served such and such and such and such. We're still waiting.
Yeah.
And it's being able to do that in a calm
way,
but powerful way.
Indeed. It's what you say.
It's what you say.
And how you say it.
Yeah.
And it's all about your approach.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ignorance doesn't warrant responding with ignorance.
No.
You know. So with that, you just have to be the better person and do what is required.
Yeah.
And what you need to do to turn that from a negative situation to a positive one.
Yeah. There are some new, I'd have to maybe, I don't know if we're able to put it on at a later date, but if you wanted to educate your children about, you know, colorism, etc., you know, there's some good, easy access reading books.
Yeah.
Just so that they just know who they are.
Yeah, so they've got the resources.
So they've got the resources and they've got the tools.
It's needed. It's needed.
It's so needed.
Yeah, because the mere fact that we're still experiencing this today, generations after generation after generation, it does ring, alarm bells do ring.
Yeah.
You know, for me, black is black. There is no lighter shade of black. Black is black. You may call yourself brown. You might call yourself light brown. On a census form, on an application, you're black. You can be a black West Indian. You can be a black British. You can be a black Caribbean. At the end of the day, you are black. You need to learn to love yourself. who you are and your fellow brothers and sisters. Just because your skin is lighter than another, and maybe the texture of your hair differs, doesn't make you any less of a black person. You will possibly continue to feel that you are not accepted. But if you accept yourself and you love yourself for who you are, then that's acceptance in itself. You don't need validation from another person. You don't need someone to say that you're okay or you're not okay. Black is black. You need to embrace that. You need to stop looking down on your fellow brothers and sisters that are a shade of melanin lighter or darker than you. We are one. When we start acting as one, maybe we will see some change. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to today's show. Good night and God bless.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if we spoke honestly?